Greetings, all you gems out there. I'm Duuz-Diz-Din, coming at you with another Steven Universe episode review. This time it's Season 5, Episode 28, titled Escapism. Now we pick up where last episode left off, with Stevani trying her best in order to escape from the imprisonment that she's been put under. It's actually very interesting because she keeps trying like the shields and to, jump and all this other stuff, but eventually she ends up defusing. I say she, it's they. They end up defusing into Steven and Connie. And a question I had like when they were first imprisoned was the question of like how would they eat? But apparently that's answered with Connie having brought in a few snack bars here and there to share between her and Steven. Which actually that's the ever prepared Connie for you. I mean, it's not like the gem ball was going to have any food there, so she just brought some of her own. Steven, unfortunately, thinks that this whole effort was a mistake, that there was no purpose behind it, but Connie reaffirms his mission to talk with White Diamond and get her to understand the joys of Earth, basically. Which, it just shows the very close bond that they have. That's such a highlight of this series. The closeness that they have together and the faith that's been built up over the various seasons. And it's through Connie and her trying to use her phone to find a way to get some help, briefly not remembering that they are no longer on Earth. It helps Steven remember that he has the astral projection-like ability of projecting himself outside. And Steven remembers that there's one crystal gem who, while the others were poofed here on Homeworld, Bismuth is still back on Earth with his dad. So he uses this moment in order to just kind of get in contact with Bismuth through his projection, and he flies all the way back to Earth, only to end up in a watermelon Steven, which that's what took me completely off guard, because so many people thought that he would try to get in contact with Lars or something, but it's the same thing as we saw from before, where Steven's only way of getting in contact with anyone was through a watermelon Steven. And so this watermelon Steven happens upon one of the watermelon Steven tribes of the one, just kind of representing the one fallen Steven who had sacrificed himself in order to, bring peace to the rest of them. And Steven ignores this and tries to swim away, only for his buoyancy to kind of fail him. So he goes off in order to try to get materials to build a raft, only for him to be, captured by the warrior tribe of the watermelon Stevens. And this little almost civil war breaks out between the pacifists and the warrior tribes, which Steven is completely ignoring to just continue to try to build his raft. But the two Steven factions, the peaceful Stevens and the, warrior Stevens, see his plight and help him towards his goal of creating a raft. And, they see him off. So it was a cute little moment just to see how life on the Watermelon Steven Island has progressed for the most part. Not the groundbreaking moment that I think a lot of people were hoping for, but it was adorable. It's very much in the vein of Steven Universe to go in that direction, honestly. But the Steven possessing this watermelon Steven goes through a bit of hardships on his travels, encountering a storm and even a friggin' watermelon shark, which it's adorable but so deadly. The watermelon Steven even loses his leg, which, it's hilariously morbid but cute at the same time. And he manages to fend off this creature by giving it a kiss on the nose. It's adorable. So the watermelon Steven has to paddle back with only one leg, and eventually gets rescued by Lion, who brings him all the way back to Greg and Bismuth, where the Watermelon Steven has to try to explain the whole situation using pictures, but they're completely clueless as to what this thing is trying to tell them. So he literally has to spell it out for them, which I've already seen so many memes. That's the biggest problem with creating a situation where you can write something out, because people will put the worst possible stuff here, but whatever. So they figure it out from this, and the Watermelon Steven, is depossessed by actual Steven, with the last shot being a reaffirmation of the plan. I guess they got to figure out how to go about all of this. With Greg giving Steven the thumbs up as he goes back into his body, just saying, "Oh, I guess we'll just have to see what happens," which I have mixed feelings about, because it's just like, well, yeah. I mean, this episode as a whole wasn't bad. It's just like, I wonder what's gonna happen next, especially considering I think it's the next week's episode, or maybe the week after that, but it's just like Battle of Heart and Mind should be coming up pretty soon, so it's just like, that's going to be a very intense episode. I think it's a two-parter on top of that, and the promos shown for it, if you've seen any of that, it's just been very intense, with White Diamond latching on to Pink Diamond's leg ship, and this whole confrontation with Blue and Yellow that seems to be going on. A lot of intense stuff is about to go down in the coming episodes, but this was more of a buffer episode, just to kind of keep the plot moving forward for the most part. Show that Steven and Connie aren't just diddling around in there. No, not in that way, ew. But there's only so much they can do. They've tried to escape. There's no real solid way they can tell to get out of here. So, the only other thing they could do. Honestly, so many people were under the assumption that they would try to contact Lars, but I'm not even sure how he would have contacted Lars. He can use his astral projection, but that only affects humans when they're asleep for the most part. I don't know if he'd be able to get in contact with Lars through the same means. Just would have been very odd, because maybe if Lars was asleep, but I don't even know if Lars needs regular sleep anymore. Freaking zombie boy over here. But, well, that's all I really got for this episode. Only so much to really talk about. But tell me what you thought about this episode. What did you think about their situation that Steven and Connie are in? Do you think they would have been able to find a way out if they just kept working at it? Or are you just glad that they brought back up Steven's ability to just kind of astral project himself out of his body? Were you interested in the fact that they brought back the whole Watermelon Steven situation? And I love the kind of parallel of the Watermelon Island being split in half. Very similar to how Homeworld is just split in two, more or less. Which, you think that would affect the planet a little bit more. I'm surprised Connie can breathe in that kind of atmosphere, but oh well. I mean, best way to get around it. I mean, I guess a more breathable atmosphere. We have such a variety of different minerals here that you find a little bit of various other planets, but only so much of that here. Maybe, I don't understand how geology works enough, but maybe it's because of the atmosphere being very much like Earth, and the fact that Connie can breathe. That's why there's such a large variety of gems, because of the atmosphere. But that's getting highly off topic. And, what do you think Greg, Bismuth, and Lion will actually be able to do? Because I'm pretty sure only Steven can pass through Lion's mane in order to get in contact with Lars, so I'm not sure they'd be able to do any of that. I'm not sure how they get to Homeworld, quite frankly, unless Bismuth somehow manages to rebuild the warp bridge, possibly the warp platform between there and Homeworld. I mean, Garnet pretty much epically destroyed it, in order to keep them away from there. But maybe Bismuth can work on that a bit. You never know. But again, tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. If you liked what I had to say here, leave me a like. If you didn't like what I had to say, feel free to leave me a dislike. I'll understand. Maybe tell me what I did wrong in this video so that I might improve for future videos. But until then, how about subscribing? Because I'll definitely be bringing you more episode reviews of Steven Universe. Thanks for joining me.